Good morning, everybody. I'm Jesse Cofield. You are watching The Sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. We are locked and loaded for the next 30 minutes, getting you ready with a sportsbook preview of Week 3 in the NFL. Here at the desk with me, I've got DraftKings contributors Reed Fowler, Julian Edlow, and VSiN's Josh Applebaum here. So, fellas, before we look forward right into Week 3, let's take a look at how it all went down for bettors in Week 2, okay? So we got some trends here. Home teams were 8-7-1 against the spread. That's versus 9-7 in Week 1. Now, only 8 teams are 2-0 against the spread on the season thus far. Buffalo, Miami, Houston, LA, Giants, Detroit, Tampa Bay, ATL. Now, 10 of 16 games went under, you guys. That's pretty crazy. So interesting to note about that. Of course, there was one game that was significant for some that did also go under. So something to note before we jump into our best bets for Week 3. Our analysts went 3-0 last week, okay?
We did.
So, Reed, you weren't here. Julian and Josh were on last
Probably
week.
plays a role.
No pressure for Reed, right? No pressure for you.
Of course not.
So let's just jump in. Let's get these best bets. Josh, you like the Dolphins plus 4.5. Now, Miami and Buffalo, just 2 of 3 AFC teams to start the season 2-0.
Yeah, this one's really interesting to me because, number one, this is kind of a late evolving play. I saw early on, obviously, when you look at the Miami Dolphins and the Bills, everyone's going to ride the Bills here. Hard to argue with what you've seen so far. They've been fantastic, but really there's a lot of factors that I think the value is on Miami plus the points here. Number one, late movement. You wake up this morning, it was some books, laying 5.5 here with Buffalo. Now it's down to 4.5. I love when you're close to kickoff, this late money coming in when limits are raised. Also, you look at Tua as a dog, 8-3 ATS. The big thing, though, 78% of bets here are laying the points with Buffalo, yet this line is moving down toward Miami. And then also, Jesse, Bills on a short week. They played on Monday night. It's really hot down there. The Patriots, these Northeast teams, always struggle in the heat. It's 88 degrees. But then I saw this tweet from Adam Schefter. The secondary of the Bills today, it's unbelievable. They're starting 3 6th-round picks. Kyrie Elam is starting. Their secondary is totally banged up. I'm going to take the points here in a divisional matchup. I'd also lean a little bit over. I think Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to be very happy to see the secondary today for Buffalo.
All right, Reed, like I said, no pressure. Let's get your best bet. You're going with the Raiders.
Go with the Raiders, yes. I got to remind Julian that I do not have a loss in my best bets, so I am undefeated.
Okay.
Unlike Mr. Edlow himself. Thank you very much. Hello. The Raiders. And something came out with the Raiders, too, that Josh Jacobs is playing. He was potentially ruled out. Is he traveling with the team? Is he not traveling with the team? We finally figured out that he was. But look, this is more about the Titans' defense. This is an indictment on that defense and the offense. If they can't be in the plus 2-point score games, right? Or excuse me, two-score games, Derrick Henry is not a factor, and they no longer have someone like A.J. Brown on the outside. Like Treylon Burks is fine, guys. He really is. But this Titans' offense is not great. And talk about that secondary. I get it. It was against the Bills. You just mentioned about that Bills team, and that offense is so elite. But this is more of an overreaction against Arizona coming back in basically a 1% win game last week. And also the Raiders, they had chances against the Chargers. So I think this is more of an overreaction. I am not on this Arizona secondary or this offensive line. So give me the Raiders -2.
All right, Derrick Henry does just have 107 yards, 1 touchdown in 2 games. That's not great. All right, Julian, you like the 49ers money line here?
I do. I'm going to Sunday Night Football. I think this San Francisco 49ers team is rejuvenated from Jimmy G getting back in there and, wishing Trey Lance the best in his recovery, but that team wasn't doing that much with him in there. And we can see from odds makers, just look at the futures numbers, that this team is more dangerous with Jimmy Garoppolo in at quarterback. He's 33-14 as a starter. He's 19-6 on the road as a starter. And while things are going to get better for Denver, and you got some good news coming from Denver, banged up guys like Jerry Jeudy expected to play in this game, it hasn't been a pretty start. And it hasn't just been the coaching calls from Nathaniel Hackett. It's also been the play of Russell Wilson, who completed well below 50% of his passes last week at home against the Houston Texans. So for me, I think that this game plays right into the 49ers' hand. Things will get better for Denver, but I think that the 49ers are trending up right now. They have their veteran quarterback took them to the NFC Championship game. I think they're riding high right now, and they take this game on the road.
Reed has something to say about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. You look at Denver, it's not just, Nathaniel Hackett is, talk about you take all of the bits and pieces of bad coaching decisions, and Nathaniel Hackett in his first couple of weeks is probably that guy. And you take a look at this Denver defense as well. Patrick Surtain wasn't practicing basically the other week, and Justin Simmons, their all-pro Pro Bowl safety, is on IR. So now you get that along with Jimmy Garoppolo, who's a much better, in terms of right now where he is.
More of a win-now quarterback for sure.
Yeah, so that's how I feel like. I agree completely with that.
Josh, you on the same page?
I'm on the same page. I like both these plays. Dog to fave line moves. That's one thing that I love in the NFL, both with the Raiders and here with San Fran. They open as a dog. They flip to a favorite. By the way, George Kittle is back here. And I also think that matchup coaching-wise, Shanahan versus Hackett, I'll take that every time with Shanahan. I'll money line both these plays with you guys.
Ooh, okay. All right, good stuff, guys. These guys are going to tell us what trends, injuries, storylines, stuff that they're sweating ahead of kickoff. Plus, after a thrilling road OT win against Vegas, Kyler Murray faces a tough home matchup against the defending champs. Can he get it done despite a certain potential distraction this week? We're going to explain next when the Sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook continues. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And this week, new customers can bet $5 on any team and pocket $200 if they win. Download the app and use promo code SWEAT when you sign up. Welcome back to The Sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Jesse Cofield. And speaking of the DK Sportsbook, they put out this tweet earlier in the week, simply stating, Call of Duty beta is out this week. The Cardinals are 3.5-point home underdogs. And then there was a picture of Kyler Murray decked out in Call of Duty gear. So, guys, everyone knows Kyler's a big gamer, right? Big Call of Duty fan. We even had some internet sleuths trying to figure out his win-loss record in the NFL based on like when big Call of Duty stuff happened, big events, big releases, stuff like that. Let's bring in Julian Edlow and Reed Fowler. Before we jump into this, I just want to say in the last segment, I accidentally said that the Houstons were an undefeated team, the Texans. They're obviously a winless team. So I just wanted to state that for the record. Before we jump in here, that was for producer Tom in the back. We're having fun with this, obviously, with this Kyler thing. But did this like creep into your head at all when you were looking at this Rams-Cards matchup here?
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to start handicapping football games based on video game release schedules.
You'll be sadly mistaken.
Unfortunately.
Your bank account then.
What I will say is I don't feel like we know too much about either of these teams, the Rams or the Cardinals, which is what scares me in this game. But Reed, do you have any video game comments for
yes,
us?
I do. I want to know what his ratio is, and for all of you COD players out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If his ratio is high, but this record is low, that's what scares me. And Julian, you can look that up. But it's less about Kyler.
What's his regular season record on Call of Duty release dates?
Maybe.
Release
I don't know.
weeks?
I'm not. I mean, that's where our
That's where we
statisticians-
should have. Yeah, we
But
should
I
have
was going
looked
to say
at
it's
it.
less about Murray. It's more about Cliff Kingsbury. That's really where I'm worried about. If you take a look at the Cardinals, and since 2019, as him as the head coach, they're 9-16 against the spread, and straight up 25, 26, and 1. That is Cliff Kingsbury's record with the quarterback that he wanted. And you get a Rams team that, look, like Julian, like you mentioned, we don't know exactly what they are yet, but we know that they're fast starters. So if you want to attack the Rams, maybe it's a first half over team total, but this is a team that, again, I don't like them long term. I took the under 8.5 regular season wins.
Yeah.
That could change just because they're getting healthier. But still, against a division like a division rival like the Rams, I'm not about it.
I'm with you on the win total under on Arizona, and for me, it's just that comeback against Vegas. That's great, but we kind of saw who they were to a degree in that Week 1 game against the Chiefs, where they just got torched, and then the Rams come out, play Buffalo tough, but it seems like they shouldn't be in that game in the first half, and that kind of proves true in the second half.
Yep.
And then they come out, beat up on the Falcons, but look really bad in the second half. I'm very low on both of these teams, and I think this will maybe be a measuring stick game for both of them.
Yep.
All right, guys, it's getting hot in here. That was a hot start for all of us because we are talking about what is going to make you sweat today. Like what stuff, trends, storylines, injuries, something that's giving you pause before you think about bets you might want to place. So let's start with the aforementioned Kyler Murray. Can he take out the Rams this week? Now, before you answer, Jules, here's some of Kyler's career regular season numbers. 1-5 record, 62.8 completion percentage, 5 fumbles, like a lot going on.
Yeah, look, I mean, we talked about this earlier, right, with Kyler Murray and the Call of Duty segment. It's the same thing. Can he stay healthy long term? I honestly think that if he had another head coach, he'd be someone that we could consider as one of the top 5, top 3 in terms of his talent, right, at the quarterback position, way he can run, how he's extremely accurate as a passer. But we know from the goal line situations, from just the situations they did, one of the oldest on average by age offensive linemen. And we know that as the season progresses, that gets worse and worse and worse. And they get unhealthier. He's got to run for his life. So that worries me a lot.
All right, real quick, Jules, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, not really. I think that the start that we saw from Arizona last year was just, it got a lot of hype, and that's not who the Cardinals were. And I think we saw that at the end of the season, in the playoffs, and I think we're seeing it at the start of this season.
All right, well, there's always something going on with Tom Brady, right? He banged up his ring finger on his throwing hand against the Saints. He said he feels great, but he was seen shaking it out in discomfort repeatedly during practice this week. Bucks, 1-point favorites, highly anticipated home game against the Packers. Reed, does this push you towards Green Bay at all? Brady's career regular season record against the Pack is 4-2.
No.
No.
The Kimbe say no.
Okay.
Do not. Stay away. Stay far away. Come here really close. Stay far away from this game, okay? Because you know what it should be about? It should be less about Brady and less about Aaron Rodgers. This is the lowest team total, lowest game total that both of these quarterbacks have ever had, basically.
Total, by the way, has come down at a time close to 10 points in this game from what it was.
It's more about the running backs. It's more about Aaron Jones. It's more about A.J. Dillon. It's more about Leonard Fournette in this game. It's going to be heavy run. Yes, I'm very worried about this game, Jesse.
It's a hard game to bet. It's a really hard game to bet, and people want to bet Brady versus Rodgers. I lean to Green Bay, honestly, in the game because I think Brady has so many pieces that he's going to be without, and that Tampa defense that has looked so good to start the season is even down some pieces. But then on the Green Bay side of things, Rodgers can't really put it together with his receivers in Week 1, kind of finds it, but against a Bears team that they always beat up on in Week 2, now you got to go on the road in Week 3, and then you lose Watkins, and you kind of have to resituate your wide receiver room. It's just tough to know what to expect from either team on offense in this game. So I'm going to stay away. If you asked me to bet it, I would lean to Green Bay to win.
All right, what about this week's injury report, Julian? What are you sweating here?
Honestly, I mean, we see all these names up here. Herbert at the top is going to be an interesting one. I think that if we get that game without Herbert, I really like the Chargers against the Jags. I think that Chase Daniels can kind of navigate there. But it's one that we talked about off the top of the show with best bets and Josh being on the Dolphins. It's Buffalo going without 4 defensive players in this game. And I think we're going to see a lot of points in Miami. That total's been bet up to 54. a lot of the handle is there, that doesn't really concern me. I'm very confident in what we've seen from that Buffalo offense, that it'll continue to produce. And I know it might be a little letdown spot for the Dolphins after that fourth quarter comeback, but we saw what they can do attacking secondaries, and this secondary is dinged up, and they're going to have a chance at home to do that again. I think we're going to see a lot of points in that Buffalo-Miami game.
Yeah, and speed absolutely destroys unexperienced secondaries. I think this one is really important. James Conner, it looks like he is going to play, but if they can't slow that game down against the Rams, that's massive because he is that guy who really controls the clock. And then these two right here, Jameis Winston has like 40 rib fractures in his back. Alvin Kamara is dealing with the rib injury. It's more pain tolerance. It's less, it can't get worse, the cartilage. But they have a division matchup against the Panthers.
They need that game. They already dropped the division game.
Exactly. So I like this one as well. You got to keep your eye on. I think both though are expected to play.
Yep.
All right, good stuff, guys. Sit tight. And in case you didn't know, it's fall, right? And what does one do in the fall? They go apple picking, right? And that's exactly what we're going to be doing here next. We got VSiN's Josh Applebaum here. He's going to be pointing out the low-hanging fruit on the Week 3 board when the sweat presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook continues. Welcome back to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Here's a look at some Week 3 betting trends, specifically which teams are taking the most bets here. So 93% of the handle in bets are going towards KC as favorites in Indy. Not surprising, given the Colts were shut out by the Jags last week. Eagles minus 255 on the money line versus the Commanders, but that hasn't stopped 93% of the handle. 90% of the bets going their way. Bills favored in their matchup versus Miami. 88% of the handle, 80% of the bets. Then you got 75% of the handle in the Lions-Vikings on Detroit to cover as a 6-point underdog. Detroit coming off a commanding win against the Commanders in Week 2. Okay, let's get into it. VSiN sports betting analyst Josh Applebaum is with me in an aptly named segment called Apple Picking. It is a play on your last name, in case the people at home didn't understand that. So let's find the low-hanging fruit here on the Week 3 betting board. So before we get into your picks, help us out. What are some of the things that you can learn by looking at the trends coming in during the week when it comes to the percentage of bets and the handle, just basically like the amount of money coming in?
Yeah, I think it's really important, Jesse, because I'm a data-driven guy. I try to totally take away my opinion, my biases, and I'm going to say, hey, there are people much smarter than me, so I'm going to look at where the money's going, where the bets are going, and importantly, where the line is. So what I like to do when I look at betting splits, I first look at the percentage of tickets. That's going to tell you where the public is. So, for example, 80% of bets here on Buffalo, that tells me that the public is all over the Bills here. But then where's the money going? I ideally want to get a team that's contrarian so I can bet against the public. They're getting less than 50% tickets, but more money, and the line is moving in their favor. But the other thing, Jesse, is key numbers. Key numbers are so important when you're betting the NFL because I think a lot of people, they watch games and they're like, oh, there's a lot of 24-21 games, 2017 games. The reason why, 3 is your most key number in the NFL. So when you're looking at a lot of lines today, we have a ton of games that are like 3.5 or 3 or 2.5. So one thing I like to do, look at the juice movement. Where is it trending? You always want to ask yourself, depending on what side you like, I want to be on or off a key number. It could be the difference between a win and a loss.
All right, so from what you've seen this week, what seems to be the low-hanging fruit on the board this week? So bets that kind of have that good return on investment.
Yeah, so I think one that really caught my eye was the Arizona Cardinals here. I know that the Rams are, kind of the defending Super Bowl champs. Obviously, a lot of people love them, but they're 0-2 ATS, and I'm looking at the percentages. Like 84% of bets are just taking the Rams here on a very short number. But this kind of goes to my, look at the line and look at the percentages. The Rams actually open at some shops laying 4.5. Now they're getting, 80% or more bets, yet they're down to 3.5. So what does that tell us? If the public's on the Rams anyway, then why are the odds makers dropping the line to give you a better number when you're on the Rams already? So I think the public will kind of see this and double down on the Rams. And again, it's you could win, you could lose, but this is something that I look at long term. If everyone's betting the Rams today, why is line dropping to the Cardinals? I got the Cardinals here plus 3.5. By the way, Kyler Murray, 17-8 ATS as a dog, 68%. And here's the juice thing too. It could be going down to 3. So if you like the Cards, get the hook right now.
All right, well, just because one side of a bet is getting a high percentage doesn't always mean it's a good bet. You kind of touched on this. Are there any games on the board you're staying away from because they're so popular? Like you said, you like to bet against the public.
I do, and one game we talked about this, it's obviously getting a ton of attention here, but Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, this Bucs-Green Bay game, you have seen a lot of movement toward Green Bay. They actually opened getting 3. They're all the way down to, at some shops, 1, 1.5. Some books even got down to a pick 'em. So early in the week, and I think this is a teachable moment, it's hard to bet a game on a Monday or Tuesday when so many things can change throughout the week. So if you ask me early in the week, I would say, okay, Green Bay getting points, lines moving in their favor. But what's happening late? This line's going back to Tom Brady. It bottomed out at a pick 'em. Now it's up to like -1.5. I'd actually look toward maybe going the other way and money lining Brady here at a short number.
All right, amazing work, Josh. Thank you. Stay right here because after a quick break, Reed and Julian will join us to take a look at our Sunday specials. Some of the fun parlays, props, or promos on the sportsbook this week, including could Patrick Mahomes have the most passing yards on Sunday? That is next when the Sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook returns. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And this week, new customers can bet $5 on any team and pocket $200 if they win. Download the app and use promo code SWEAT when you sign up. Welcome back to The Sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Jesse Cofield. DraftKings contributors Reed Fowler, Julian Edlow, along with VSiN's Josh Applebaum are back. Guys, Like, there are a ton of parlays, props, promos available on the DK Sportsbook. I know you guys have been scouring it for them. Now, as I mentioned, going to break, one is who will have the most passing yards on Sunday, okay? Patrick Mahomes, favorite at plus 700. But, like, what are some of your favorite bets on the board heading into this week 3 that you have found, Julian?
Yes, I'm going to one of the player specials here, and I'm going to Jets and Bengals, a game that I think we will see some yards through the air. And I know this is going to be a popular one, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So Jamar Chase and Garrett Wilson to go for 200 or more yards combined. You see it there at plus 450. Now, I used a combo that involved Devontae Adams last week, and he wound up going for 12 yards. So these aren't always as good as they look, but you got Jamar Chase here coming off a poor game against the Cowboys. We saw him in week 1 go for 10 grabs on 16 targets for $129 against Pittsburgh and a pretty decent defense. You have Garrett Wilson, who has been a go-to guy for Flacco. That first game, 4 of 8 targets he caught for 52 yards. Then he comes alive in that ridiculous comeback win over the Browns. 8 of 14 targets for 102 yards in that one. I think we're going to see Cincy get back on track here, and Chase should have a big game. I think that's kind of the part of this that we're going to be leaning on and to get well into the 120s, 130s. But Wilson's been a guy that can really get involved for the Jets, and I think against this Cincy secondary, he should be able to get enough of the rest to get us close to this one.
All right, Josh, Julian thinks this is going to be a real popular game here.
Yeah, I was actually looking at this prop earlier. Julian and I, we've been overlapping a lot on these plays here. I like
We
your
have
San Fran
been.
call too. But I'm going to go with another player special here. Devontae Adams, Robert Woods to get 15 catches or more combined. It's plus 500 right now. What jumped out to me, Julian mentioned this, Devontae Adams in a bounce back spot. 2 catches, 12 yards against Arizona. McDaniels doesn't want to go down 0-3, so I think he's going to go to the guy who he has the most faith in here, as well as Derek Carr. Also no Hunter Renfrow, so maybe get more targets here for Adams as well. And then also you look at kind of what these secondaries have given up recently. Remember, Tennessee got torched by Buffalo. Stephon Diggs, what did he have? 1 million catches, 1 million yards in that one, like 12 for 148. So yeah, I'd be looking toward that combo, both these receivers to go off.
All right, Reed, take us home.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that Cincy team, and I'm not going to repeat about Jamar Chase because he is going to absolutely break the slate.
Well, you need something different than I do to happen.
Yeah, okay,
Chris
sure.
Olave. Give me Chris Olave here with Jamar Chase, but I'm going to parlay anytime touchdowns. I think it's up to plus 600, so both Chase and Olave to get anytime touchdowns. Like the safeties with the Jets, some of the worst duos, they're struggling right now in the first 2 weeks. But look at Olave. 3rd amongst wide receivers in ADOT at 20 yards. 1st in deep targets and 9th in air yards. That screams touchdown. Jameis, I know you got some broken ribs, but he likes to YOLO. He likes to go deep. Chris Olave is that guy. He is that second receiver now over Jarvis Landry. So those two, anytime touchdown.
I know you agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chase
You
should
have
get in
to.
the end zone, and I like Olave as a player. A lot Ohio State teammates with Garrett Wilson kind of links our parlays together there.
Wow, so cool.
Couple
Tie
of
it all together.
fellas. I love it. All right, those were our Sunday specials. Excellent work, you three, as always. That's all the time we have for this week, guys. So, Julian, Reed, Josh, I'm Jesse Cofield. But we're going to keep this show going over on our DK social channels. So, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, etc. Join us on all of those. But we'll be right back here on your TVs next Sunday, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.
Peace.
Hey, you. Welcome back to the Sweat presented by DraftKings. I am Emerson Lazia. We'll toss it back over to Jesse and the squad here in just a moment. So through the first 30 minutes, right, we've probably a smorgasbord of betting tips. We're going to do that again right after we help you build those DFS lineups. And when you build said DFS lineups, make sure you stuff a few of them inside our Millie Maker. It's just $20 to enter, with the winner taking home the $1 million grand prize and a ticket to the Tournament of Champions semifinal. DraftKings contributor, Reed T. Fowler. Oh my God, I didn't even see you standing there. How are you?
Hello, sir.
Hey, great to see you. It's moist in here, isn't it? All right, Jeff Ulrich, he is also here. We need you guys to help us with a little bit of price check, all right? So we need your favorite plays at the following positions, and you know exactly where we're going to start, and that's under center. That's the quarterbacks. There you are, Jeff Ulrich. Hello, good morning. So,
Right in the middle.
So Jeff, looks like you're going right to the top of the salary board here for a guy playing in a game. That looks like it could be a DFS dream matchup.
Money bags Ulrich over here.
Yeah, I know. And this is shocking because you're really cheap.
No, I know. And look, we're definitely going to go cheap at the other positions. Don't worry. But let's talk about Josh Allen by not talking about Josh Allen. Where else are you really going to go on this slate for quarterback? Who else do you trust down here? People really going to pile into Jared Goff this week? I know it's a good matchup, but I'm just not really so sure if that's where we want to go. We got Trevor Lawrence going up against a really tough Los Angeles Chargers defense. I don't really want a piece of that. You can take the Joe Flacco yards, Julian Edlow, but I'm not going to take him for DFS. Kyler Murray is interesting at 7,300, but how much do we trust the team with no wide receivers? I think you've got to go Josh Allen here. What Miami did prove, yes, they're opportunistic on defense last week, but they also proved that they're going to give up a ton of yards. And if they're going to play quick, they're going to play for big downfield shots. That's going to create a lot of opportunity for Josh Allen in this game as well. Lamar Jackson put up 303 touchdowns last week. I will not be shocked if Josh Allen does something the same. He's easily the safest play on the board. Let's pay up to start off.
Averaging a mind-boggling 33.1 DK fantasy points per game, but that's why it's going to cost you the most. Also, Dolphins allowing the most yards per attempt in the NFL to opposing QBs. That's 9. Where are you going? It's not as expensive as that.
Not at all. Moneybags Ulrich over here. Although paying up for quarterback has, provided fruitful returns over the last couple of years. But I'm going Matt Stafford. There's no hiccup in that throwing arm. I know, look, I get it. Second half Rams, not as strong as first half Rams, but it doesn't matter. They're playing the Arizona Cardinals, and you know who's getting up the most points, the most touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks? It's the Arizona Cardinals. Derek Carr looked like an absolute stud, even though the Raiders didn't win. I will pair him with, we'll wait for the wide receiver. Yeah. I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
give me Matthew Stafford against the Cardinals. There's no chance secondary is stopping that offense.
Yeah, wide receiver, you're going to be pulling a Jeff Ulrich.
Oh, yeah.
Based off my show notes here. But yeah, the Cardinals overachieved maybe just a wee bit. Their defense against your guys last week. So let's price check here at the running back position. Who is your favorite play here, Reed?
Miles Sanders. I'm going a little jazz here, a little Miles Sanders. I know Jeff's going to like this. Soft J, I think it's European. But no, $5,500 for Miles Sanders. And look, the Commanders, they're a fine defense. They don't put a lot of pressure. They're fine against running backs. And look, he's in a 3-headed committee. I get that. But you take a look at what he did last week and over the first 2 weeks. He is that guy that's getting the early down work. Yeah. And if you think the Eagles, and I do think the Eagles are going to win this game and be pretty dominant, especially in the first half, give me Miles Sanders because it's just at $5,500. It's a cost savings. I'm penning up somewhere else, so I got to save.
A 3-headed monster, yes, but has been the lead back by a wide margin. So playing on 52.5% of the snaps this year. Ulrich, where you going in the backfield, dude?
Yeah, I'm going to go to my guy here. And look, we're going to bring down the price because we started off expensive, but I really like A.J. Dillon this week. He's $6K flat. And you say, well, why are you picking a running back who's, obviously like he's in a position, he's a power back. Why are you picking against Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay's rush defense this year, I think, is going to be vulnerable. Akeem Hicks now out for this game. They're already 19th in rush yards allowed per carry. Like, this has not necessarily been the Tampa defense. It's just been shut down against opposing running backs so far. They're grading out about, average on PFF too. No wide receivers equals what? What does it equal? I mean, it equals more opportunities for the running backs in Green Bay. This is how it's going to be. It's going to be A.J. Dillon taking some late game carries. It's going to be Aaron Jones out of the backfield. And Dillon, for all of his, he's the power back. He's got these big thighs, just going to run right through the lines. he's worked more like in terms of targets per route than Jones has as a receiver. So he's out there doing all things. I think that Tampa Bay is in a rough spot today. I mentioned Hicks being out, but their wide receivers, how are they going to move the ball? I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for A.J. Dillon in this game. My prediction, again, like I think that he's going to get in the end zone again. I think he's going to be a very high-producing touchdown player this year. 6K flat. I like that price.
I mean, maybe the Bucs defense does end up becoming a little vulnerable there, Reed, but through the first 2 weeks of the season, giving up just 11.7 points in their first 2 games.
That's probably the best
There
defense
was
in the
no
NFL.
Kamara last week. Just
Best
calm
defense
down.
in the NFL.
Listen,
Ulrich.
yards
Grow
per
up.
carry to
These are
Ingram.
numbers. These are facts. You
Grow up.
literally cannot argue against them.
Get a life. Sorry, I know what I mean. I apologize. You have a life.
All
You're a very
right,
nice person.
Jeff. We'll let you go first here at wide receiver. Your favorite play here is $3,800 cheaper than who this guy's going to roll with. So who do you have?
Unbelievable. I'm in studio. I can pick anyone I want. T. Higgins at 6,100. Look, we're remote here. We've got to watch our budget. The Jets second. I'm not going to pay all the way up for Jamar Chase. I do think that both of these Bengals receivers, though, could go off. I almost made Joe Burrow my pick. I think the Bengals are going to come out and thump the Jets, and I think they're going to put up a ton of points. T. Higgins at 6,100. Yeah, give me some of that. Obviously led the Bengals in targets last week. This Jets secondary giving up, 3 touchdowns to wide receivers against the Ravens in week 1. Everyone wants to talk about the fact Sauce Gardner shut down Donovan Peoples-Jones. Who cares? It's Donovan Peoples-Jones and Jacoby Brissett. They also allowed Jacoby Brissett to complete almost 80% of his passes. No. T. Higgins at 6,100 is too cheap. You got to take advantage. You've got to get a piece of the Bengals offense. T. Higgins is the most efficient way to do that.
I will say in your stacks article this week, right, you had Burrow and Higgins in there, and Chase, I think, is your second best stack.
Little trip stack
that you
there.
really like.
Don't mind it.
So wide receiver, you're going with the favorite target of the guy you had at quarterback, which was Matthew Stafford.
It's all about location.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And where does that ball locate in the Rams offense? It's the one Cooper Kupp. You know the best running back on that team is? It's Cooper Kupp. You know why? Because given the ball, he's going to get you 12 yards every single time. He leads in receptions and targets. And look, he's going to play in the slot. You know who the Cardinals are rolling out in the slot, Jeffrey Ulrich? Isaiah Simmons. You know how many times he's played in the slot? 0. I think 0 snaps right now. So don't give me a break. There's no way Cooper Kupp doesn't smash again this week. He's just an auto. He's like Julian at the snack bar. He's always going to get carbs.
Oh, my
It's an
God.
You
auto.
guys want a hot take for that Rams-Cardinals game?
Yeah, go ahead. Why not?
There we go.
Supersonic Ben Skoranek
Oh, here we
is
go.
going to be the leading receiver in that game.
That's a joke from like 2020.
Yeah, man. Do better there, Ulrich. Kupp third in red zone targets too in the NFL this
wow.
year. He's
He's
gonna.
beast.
I'm just saying. I mean, it makes sense. If you're gonna pay that much money, at least it makes sense to go to that guy.
location.
All right, Kyle Pitts has been an absolute disappointment. He has through 2 weeks, 4 catches. Why is he your top tight end today, Jeff?
I like him. I do. I think
I know.
the squeaky wheel here does get some grease. I mean, look, what Atlanta is doing on offense is a little bit obviously suspect. They're trying to work every wide receiver in. They're dying up plays for Karel Hodge. They're trying to run the ball on 4th down. But I think that Kyle Pitts has to come alive here. It's the Seattle defense. They have been bottom 5 guarding against the tight end position. This is really good. Jamal Adams is out. They've got backups in there anyway. Jamal Adams is terrible at coverage anyways. And I think Kyle Pitts against the Seattle linebackers is just too good a matchup.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that we did see last week again with Kyle Pitts is he drew some deep field DPIs. And I like these are plays that are almost happening. So maybe the heavy targeting wasn't there. But what do we really need against Seattle? We maybe just a couple more targets here and there, get him to get worked in. I think this is where you buy low on Kyle Pitts. I think he is going to be a bit of a headache all season where you're not going to be able to rely on him, but there are going to be spike weeks. And at 4,800 with nobody using him, these are the kind of plays you need in your DraftKings Millie Maker lineup. Everyone's scared off of Pitts. They don't like him. This is a really good matchup for Kyle Pitts. I think that this is where he goes up. I think he's going to put together a big game. Weaker defense down the middle. Give me Kyle Pitts here to come to life finally.
How many times do you think that Jeff brings up the Falcons every season? I know it's Roddy White when he was playing, Julio Jones, Tevin Coleman.
Tevin Coleman was the
Devonta
one where,
Freeman.
he just
the
hammered
Falcons
away
should
on
be
that.
paying Jeffrey some residual here. It's unbelievable.
Don't give him any ideas. All right,
true,
your dude, your tight end here. Now, his value is going to depend on the status of his starting quarterback, right?
Well, yes, but I'm actually switching it because I
Wait,
know in
you
your notes.
switched?
I know in your notes it says Gerald Everett, who I think it's a fine play, especially for the late swap. I get it. but I know I'm switching a little bit. I still think Joe Everett's a fine play, but yes, it does matter who's throwing him the ball.
Well, this is news to me.
Justin
Go ahead.
Herbert, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to go a little Irv Smith. Irv Smith Jr. for $3,100. How does that sound? Does that pique your interest, Jeffrey? Because look, in all of these games, in high-scoring affairs, right, and which is what we think it's going to be with Lions and the Vikings, we got studs at wide receiver for both teams. Go to the tight end to be contrarian. Irv Smith, his snap percentage has increased from week 1 to week 2. Week 1, it was putrid. Week 2, he could have had a huge week, but he didn't have the ability to catch one ball for a second touchdown. Still, he got that touchdown, 5 catches, 36 yards. $3,100 saves you in that game that should probably go over 50, 55 points.
Okay, sounds good. Well, apologies to defense and special teams. We have run out of time, but Jeff, you're going to come back a little bit later and help us out with some primetime picks for Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football, you're going to also return eventually for, your underdog bet of the day?
Everything.
Love it. All right, cool. For now, though, we got Jesse standing by. Oh, what is it? The Triple J's over here.
Yeah, the Triple J's. Julian, Josh, and Jesse hanging out at the desk here. We're going to talk about some of the line movement that we're seeing on the DK Sportsbook, guys, and how this can result in grabbing good value, something we talked about on our last show, Josh. All right, so here's an example of teams whose numbers have moved based on their results through week 2. So this is for the AFC Conference winner market. So as you can see here, the Chargers, previously plus 650, they're currently plus 750. Moving down the line, everybody's odds have gotten longer here, okay? None of these teams have looked as good as expected entering the year. But if you do still believe in them, this could be a good time to jump on these bets. So I don't know if you feel like that's something you're interested in. But Jules, what are some of the bets that have seen movement that you like here?
Yeah, I'm going to start with one of the teams that we saw in that graphic in the Indianapolis Colts, a team that I bet before the season to win the AFC South. They opened around even money, closed at minus 130. Their 0-1-1 start has not been what we want to see as Colts backers.
Especially with both games coming inside the division.
Yes. So we're now sitting at plus 125, but I will say the Colts, they have that history of starting slow. I thought it would change this year, but they always drop their week 1 game, and they never play well in Jacksonville, and that's how it's gone. But regardless of what happens today in Kansas City for the home opener where they kind of need to bounce back, there's still just one win in this division, and it's the Jags win over the Colts. Houston is 0-1-1. Tennessee, who's believed to be their main competitor, is 0-2. So I still think that there's time for this team to get back on track, and a huge part of my handicap initially in the Colts in this division was how poor I thought the rest of the division would be. That has still held strong. We just need the Colts to improve, and they have season by season. So I still think, I wouldn't get over-invested here, but if you haven't invested in Indy and now you can get that plus money again, I still think that's fine. I think they're going to bounce back as the season goes on, and the rest of this division, particularly how bad Tennessee's looked, is going to fall apart. I think that the team with the best chance to win a game, actually, is Houston today in Chicago to win another game, and they're still sitting at the bottom of the board to win the division. So I feel really safe with the Colts.
Yeah, they do still have the best odds because this division is messy AF. All right, Josh, you like the 49ers plus 800 to win the NFC. They opened at plus 650. 5th best odds to win the conference here.
Yeah, Jesse, and I think when you're looking at value, I think it's different from what you think will happen or what you want to happen. I think bettors have numbers in their head, and basically what they're looking at is, can I get a better number? Do I predict things to improve? So in a weird way, like I'll give you an example, the Eagles. The Eagles are now plus 1,000 to win the Super Bowl, but they were like 30, 40 to 1. So if you're betting them now, you're kind of getting the worst of it. I think in this situation, you kind of want to buy low on teams that maybe haven't been great, like for the 49ers. You mentioned it, Jesse. They're plus 650 to open to win the NFC. Now they're plus 800. You're getting, $150 more here to take them. Why? Because they dropped that first game in Chicago. If they won that game and they're 2-0, they're not 800 right now. They're probably, plus 500, something like that. So, George Kittle's coming back. You can also kind of extrapolate how you think they're going to do today. Dog to fave line move. So if they win at Denver tonight, that number's going to improve. You have Jimmy G coming back, taking over for Trey Lance. You have good coaching with Shanahan, good defense here. I think at plus 800 is a good time to look at the Niners here to win the NFC.
All right, let's move to your second bet, Julian. Malik Willis, Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's sitting at plus 2,500. We talked about this in the break. It opened at plus 5,000.
Yeah, so this one is kind of going the other way, but I still want to highlight it because I don't necessarily, when you're betting something this long of odds, I don't think it always has to be moving against you like the Colts are moving against us or like the Niners did because of what we know now. If you have the insight to take Willis at plus 5,000 before the season, that's great. I think we all thought Tennessee maybe was in for a down year and there would be a short leash on Ryan Tannehill, but I don't know if we knew that they would be this bad and there would be this short of a leash on Ryan Tannehill. We already saw Tannehill benched for more than a full quarter of that Buffalo game. So this could be closer than ever in terms of Willis coming in and getting more games than we thought. If Tennessee does lose today to the Raiders, they start 0-3. This could be getting close. And unlike last year, where we currently have 6 starting quarterbacks from the 2021 NFL draft class, nobody in this draft class is a starter. So if there's one starting quarterback and they're at plus 2,500 odds, that is a guy that you want some of your money on. So I think that the Raiders are the right side today, and this is kind of a way of saying this spirals. Willis gets in week 4 or 5 as the starting quarterback, and these odds are going to be long gone.
Because he only completed 1 pass for 6 yards, so it's not like his
Yeah,
stat line was
it's
like...
not like he played too well,
Yeah.
but just get him on the field as a quarterback, and that's all I want.
Okay, fair enough. Josh, your second bet is the Bears win total under 6.5. It's in at minus 125. Much better odds than when the season before it started, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, one thing that people don't know is I think a lot of you talk about win totals. It's like, oh, I have to bet before the season starts. Season starts, I can't bet it. No, there are adjusted win totals that you can bet that the sportsbook will hang throughout the year. So obviously you don't want to be late to the party. Like, look at the Eagles. They're like 9.5. I think they're like 11.5. Yeah. So even if you think they're going to go over, that's not great value. I would go Chicago under 6.5, Jesse. It jumped out to me. They're 1-1. Obviously, you have that big win in the rainstorm in week 1, but I'm just not high on this team. You look at kind of what they're kind of looking at moving forward. Justin Fields has struggled here. He's starting to kind of argue with the fans and the media. You don't really have much here on offense, but really to me, the under 6.5, even though you're 1-1, I look at the schedule. I think you also got to look at schedules when you're going to bet these things. Just real quick, Giants, Commanders, Patriots, Cowboys, Dolphins, Lions, Falcons, Jets, Packers, Eagles, Bills, Lions, Vikes. I mean, I threw a lot of names at you, but I can't find 5 wins there to go over that, or 6 wins to go over that number.
There's not many names that you can throw out there that you would say, oh, that's a great spot for the Bears,
definitely.
right?
Exactly. And you can say Falcons, Jets, they could probably beat them, but those are both on the road. So give me the under 6.5. I like Justin Fields, but I see this team winning 6 or less this year.
All right, fair enough. Good stuff, gentlemen. We got Jeff Ulrich coming up to dish out his primetime picks for Sunday and Monday night. But first, we wanted to look back at some of the best moments from the sweat this week, as we do. You can catch us every weekday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern Time on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, covering all things DraftKings, DK Sportsbook. And if you haven't been watching, here's a look at what you missed this week.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but buckle up.
This week on The Sweat.
Wild finishes in the NFL.
Legitimately, we could spend the whole show talking about this Sunday. I mean, just insane.
Dallas puts together a drive to win. Miami comes back to beat Baltimore after a huge deficit. The Jets shock the Browns, and the Cardinals had that unbelievable comeback in Vegas.
I'm telling you, Kyler Murray put the team on his back. His throw on the 2-point conversion to A.J. Green, probably one of the best throws you're ever going to see.
73 minutes into this NFL season, Jimmy G found himself back with his pals like Shane Falco in the Washington Sentinels.
You know who had a good weekend?
Who?
Aaron Judge.
I don't know why anyone is pitching Aaron Judge. I guess it's almost the integrity. Like if you're that close to Roger Maris, you kind of have to pitch to him.
You can't let the beef batter get away, right? We got Vogelbach on the other side of town. Everyone needs a large man up there hitting dingers for their team. And if the Yankees somehow are to fumble the bag with Aaron Judge, shame on them for letting a beef batter leave.
Chicago is an anti-ketchup on hot dog town. Which side of that debate are you on? Or do you put ketchup on your hot dogs?
I'm heavy on the Chicago side. I love Chicago dogs.
What's it like having the most talked about helmet in pro football right now?
I mean, I think a lot of memes, a lot of stuff people are saying is hilarious. It definitely looks like a motorcycle helmet. I like the Power Rangers memes.
How the hell would you fix the Angels in this offseason? Is there a way to fix this team and actually get Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani to the postseason? Man, that would be great for baseball.
It would be great for baseball. It's just not going to happen. This is not going to happen.
Is there any way to help this team?
No.
Gary's walking around in his house.
Oh, no!
I'm so frustrated.
I can't take it.
He can't do it!
He can't do it!
Oh my God, he's pulling a Buke!
He's pulling a Steve!
Oh God, that's Buchanan's music!
He's going down the elevator!
Oh no!
We're losing him!
All right. Can you imagine how emotional our acceptance speech is going to be at the Emmys?
It's going to be amazing. You're going to talk the whole time.
It's
Speaking
true.
of award-winning, though,
Play the music.
Yeah, they're going to play you off. We get some primetime picks here with Jeff Ulrich, the man, the myth, the legend. He's here.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, need your captain play in the 49ers-Broncos Sunday night game. Do you want to go with Debo here? 49ers injuries could see him doing way more in the backfield. His usage could just be way up.
How dare you, Jesse, ask me to roster a 49ers, a captain when Russell Wilson is playing?
Oh!
I mean, look, I do actually like I think that there's a couple different captains you can look to here, and Deebo Samuel is definitely one of them. I expect higher usage out of the backfield from Deebo, probably some good red zone opportunities, but I am going to go with Russell Wilson here, 16-2 for the captain spot. Yeah, everyone's all over Russ. He can't cook anymore. The completion percentage, oh dear God, it was terrible last week. It was terrible. It's because the Denver wide receivers decided to forget how to catch a football. Jerry Jeudy looks like he's going to be active right now as of this broadcast. He's questionable, but all reports are he's going to play. It's a rib issue. I think that vastly helps the Denver Broncos offense. They don't have to target Courtland Sutton on every play, who's a little bit out of touch as, working across the field in those short receptions. So I think Judy's going to help. I think Russell Wilson, as I've said, the red zone opportunities have been there. He will start to convert. I think he converts against what I think is still a weaker secondary for San Francisco, and I kind of like Denver in this game, as we're going to get to in a second. Give me Russell Wilson as the captain here, and you can put Debo as your backup captain.
All right, cool. So your favorite bet then from this one looks like we're going to go Broncos money line, and may have something to do with Wilson being 16-4 in his career against the 49ers.
That's not a bad stat. It's not bad, right? I mean, look, we've got Russell Wilson. It's a team he's played against a lot. It's not going to be a big surprise. NFC West. But I do like Broncos money line. We're going to keep it very simple here. I think you can just go to the money line for this one. The spread has been Denver plus 1.5 all week, but it's plus 100 just to take them on the money line. And one huge factor here is Denver at home. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They're just tough. They're 9-5 against the spread since 2019 as home underdogs. This is not a team where you just come into Denver and, regardless of the state of their team, this has not been like the most solid franchise over the last 3 years with Vic Fangio and Drew Lock and whoever else they've been throwing out their quarterback. But Denver at home, yeah, it's tough. The thinner air, it's just a tough field to play against. And now you've got Russell Wilson playing against an opponent he's very familiar with. I think people are a little bit too high on the 49ers. Let's see Jimmy Garoppolo. Now that a team gets to prepare for him for a whole week, let's see how this San Francisco offense runs. I think Denver gets it done in the red zone this week. I think they pick it up, and I think they win this game.
All right, Jeff, let's move it to that Cowboys-Giants game on Monday night. Who's your captain going to be in this one? If you're going with Saquon, he's the most expensive guy by far, $17,700.
Yeah, and, I always come on this, and we try and find some plays and some dudes that you can put in who no one else is going to be on. But, for the showdown, what you need a captain, you need points. There is nobody at wide receiver for the Giants. Yeah, Sterling Shepard, I get it. He's getting targets. He's also getting targeted like 3 yards per target. I mean, it's not good. It's not going to get it done for your captain spot. You need some kind of broken play with Shepard or maybe like Richie James Jr. to get there. Saquon Barkley is the guy you need to captain. I don't care if he's 60% owned. That's the dude you need. He's obviously the leading rusher in the NFL. Brian Daboll, obviously just rolling him out there for carries in all kinds of spots, effective or not. I think his receiving upside still hasn't been busted through yet. The targets have been there. But Saquon is a guy who had 91 catches in his rookie year. Could easily bust out a screen here against the Dallas defense. And just who are you going to trust on the Dallas side of the ball? Maybe CeeDee Lamb breaks out, but you might need like 10 catches at the rate that with Cooper Rush at quarterback. So I think Saquon is the safest here. I don't even really have a backup option. All the other options in this game for captain, high risk, high variance. You're going to need some kind of broken play. You're going to need Daniel Jones to do like his 50-yard rush and then fall in the end zone or something like that kind of play. So give me Saquon as the captain.
All right, you also have him as part of your favorite bet for Monday night's game? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, look, we got to go big for one of our bets here. If you go to the player parlay section in the Dallas Cowboys New York Giants game, you can find Saquon Barkley over 100 rush yards and CeeDee Lamb over 100 receiving yards. Now, you say, okay, well, I mean, this is dicey, Jeff, like the CeeDee Lamb part of it anyways, but it's plus 1,500. It's plus 1,500 for both of these players to go over 100 yards in their respective divisions here. And I like the Barkley play a lot. Leonard Fournette went for over 100 yards against the Dallas rush defense, and we know that Barkley is going to get it. As I said, his head coach stuck with him when he wasn't being productive early in the game against Carolina. I think the yards will be there for Saquon. And look, CeeDee Lamb is still CeeDee Lamb. It's not like he's suddenly turned into dust. It's just been a tough year. Dak didn't play good and injured in week 1, and then you got Cooper Rush coming in. I think that connection could blossom here. And the very least, if we're projecting Saquon for a big game, it means Dallas is going to have a bunch of late targets there for Lamb. So I really like this one. At plus 1,500, that's a good one for a little Monday night action there.
All right, we love it. Thank you, Jeff. We're going to bring Julian, Josh, and Reed back here in a second. But first, on the DK Sportsbook, Emerson, a bettor has placed an $83,333 bet on the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the AFC South. As you can see, that potential payout absolutely massive.
Yep.
This person has to watch the show because nobody has as much faith in the Jags as you, Emerson.
Yeah, I just want everyone to know that was not me who placed that bet.
It wasn't?
No, it certainly was not.
Okay.
If I had the money, it could possibly be. But Jags will win the AFC South. I know Julian totally agrees with that. You can write it down. They're America's team. It is destiny. Odds makers will learn. They still haven't, at least through week 3, because 3.5-point underdog right now to the Chargers today. But I don't know. Maybe the Jags are one of our analysts' best underdog bets today. What do you think, Reed T. Fowler?
That would be a hard negative. That would be negative. I like how it's $1 less the potential payout. So it's not even money. It's $1 less. But no, the Jacksonville Jaguars are not one of the dogs. They don't have that dog in them just yet, Emerson. They got a little bit way to go.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a segment that we're going to pick our favorite underdogs. So teams that can win outright money line bets or against the spread. And Julian, you're going with one that you just talked about just a little while ago.
I am going to the dreadful AFC South. I'm not going to the Jaguars because if the Jaguars win the division, Emerson and I will end the season by having a fight on the show. Physical fist fight on the show.
Please.
But a team that's done really well so far, they're 0-1-1 straight up, but they are 2-0 against the spread, is the Houston Texans. I think they have a pretty decent roster when you compare it to a team like the Chicago Bears, who this all kind of ties in. Josh spoke on the last segment about the Bears under win total. And this is a spot I think that the Bears could lose this game, and then that number really flies. And just the way Houston has played, you get up big on a Colts team that I think will really improve over the course of the season. Yes, they let it go a little bit late, but they were able to keep it a tie. And then you play tight against a Denver team on the road. Denver, regardless of the slow start for Denver, it's still a tough place to play. So I think Houston comes into Chicago, a Bears team that's just a mess on the offensive line and skill positions, and wins this game.
Yeah, defensively, Roquan Smith didn't practice all week, but he is active. Dameon Pierce might have a huge week. That's minus 110 if you take the 3 points, or plus 145 if you take the Texans. Josh, where are you going?
Yeah, so first off, Jaguars real quick, pay attention to the injury report today. This is a 4 o'clock game. Justin Herbert's questionable. You're hanging on a hook right now, 3.5. If you like the Jags, you probably want to grab that 3.5 right now. If Herbert's out and it's Chase Daniel, that thing's going to fall a ton. But for my dog of the day, guys, we talked about Miami. There's some other games I'm looking at, like the Lions getting 6. But give me the New England Patriots today, guys. This is one of my fishiest plays of the day. It's a data-driven play because when you're looking at the bet splits here, 90% of bets at DraftKings are taking Lamar Jackson. I don't blame the public. Great player, good team. You're getting under a touchdown now, or under a field goal, laying 2.5. It makes sense. But I'm a data-driven guy, and what I really like about this is that you have such heavy betting here on Baltimore, yet this line fell. That makes no sense. If everyone's betting the Ravens here, shouldn't they open 3, get up to 4, get up to 5? Nope, it's going the other way, down to 2.5. You really wanted the 3 here with New England. The other thing is Jacoby Myers is out, Kyle Duggar's out. That line didn't go back up to the Ravens. It stayed exactly where it's at. I'll take the Patriots here, ideally 3, maybe you tease them up to 8.5, but I got New England here today.
Yeah, 8.5 is definitely a key tease number, plus even money if you're taking the points, plus 120 money line. I'm actually going with the Falcons, so this is more of a square play, even though they're still a dog. I just really don't believe in the Seahawks. Sorry, I'm not sorry, Pierce Dietrich, because the Seahawks are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They are struggling mightily, and like we mentioned earlier, Jamal Adams, he's out. This secondary is young, and they're not great. Like, the Falcons aren't a great team by any stretch, but they are better than Seattle. So give me that, again, they're not
2-0 ATS, Falcons.
2-0 ATS. And what do they do? They come back, even if they're down, which I don't think they're going to be down in this game, but even if they are plucky. They come back in those second halves. So
or they blow massive fourth quarter leads.
Or they blow massive fourth quarter leads. But at the same time, give me the Falcons. But enough of us, jabronis. Let's go back to the Emmy Award winning, maybe that's a little prognostication, person, Jesse Cofield.
Whoa! Burn! All right, that's going
It's
to
too
do it
hot
for
here.
our Week 3 edition of The Sweat, though. That's all the time we have for today.
Yeah.
We will be back next Sunday, same time, same place, 11 a.m. We are also,
Yeah.
during the week, 11 a.m. You can catch us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the fun places. Make sure you tune in for that. Happy football, happy Sunday, happy fall. See you next week.
Let's get that air conditioning working in here.